very slim. Could happen, but very slim. So let's get on to the battles. Now, battle number one is the inflation battle, and we're going to kind of circle around, come back to that. Battle number two is the tax battle, because it's not about what you make and save, Michael. It's about what you keep and spend, because taxes can really, really hurt you. Now, let me ask you this question. Have you ever heard of the Rule of 72? Well, Rule of 72 it's actually a formula that was developed by Albert Einstein, of all people. And the formula is used to calculate how long it's going to take you to double your money based on the interest that you're earning from that money. Now, here's an example. Let's say you got $100 and you got that set aside somewhere and you're getting 4%. So what we do is we divide 72 by 4, and that equals 18. So we know that every 18 years your money's going to double. So 2 years you're going to have $200. And let's say you're a really, really patient guy. You can let that roll another 18 years, and now you've got $400. Now let me ask you this question. 36 years from now, is that $400 going to have the same purchasing power as this $100 does today? No, you're absolutely right, and that is called inflation. Now let me ask you a question, Michael. If people save, where do they save? That's right, banks, credit unions, and sometimes fixed accounts. But what kind of interest rate are they getting? 0.5%, 1%, 1.5%, 2%, maybe a little bit more? Well, we already know that's not even keeping up with inflation. And so what happens is the purchasing power of their money is eroded. They're gaining nothing. They're just keeping even, not getting ahead with their investments or their savings. Now, what would change here? And this is the million-dollar question. What would change if they could get a decent interest rate, say somewhere between 6 and 12% on that same money? Would that change their life? Would that move them closer to being financially independent? And the answer, of course, is yes. Now let's take a look at another example, kind of help us understand this concept even further. Now, let's say that you're 29 years old and you've got $10,000 saved up, and you're getting 4% interest on that money. And so, as we know, using the Rule of 72, that money's going to double every 18 years. Now, and so in 18 years, that $10,000 is now going to be $20,000. And so you're a patient guy, you let it ride another 18 years, and now you've got $40,000 saved up. Now here's the catch. It's 36 years later, you're 65 years old, the kids are gone, the house is paid off, and you got a $40,000 nest egg. Now realistically, how long do you think that money is going to last you? You're right. And if you're my wife, it lasts about 3 months. No, don't tell her I said that, please. But realistically, that $40,000 could last you a year, maybe 2 years, maybe a little bit longer if you're very frugal and a very, very good money manager. And so what happens, and here's the real catch, so you're 66 now, you're of cash. And so what's your situation? Are you going to be working at the Walmart? Are you going to be scraping goo off the floor? Now, the only thing that could have changed this whole story here is a better interest rate, say 6 to 12%. Now let's take a look at an example here. Again, this is for us to help understand this concept. So here's the little story. 18%, I'm sorry, 4%, 18 years, $40,000 at the end, at the age 65. But let's take a look at this scenario where you got 6% on that money. Now your money doubles every 12 years, and at age 65 you got $80,000, a little different. Now let's say you could get 8% on that same money. And now your money doubles every 9 years and you get an extra compounding period. Now you got $160,000. Now we're talking. But let's say you could get even a better interest rate, say 12%. And is that possible? Of course it is. At 12%, your money doubles every 6 years. And you get several other compounding periods too beyond 8%. And look at this. Look at this. I tell you what, this is insane. I get so excited about getting to this point in my presentation every time. Look at that figure, $640,000. Now, because this guy couldn't get that better interest rate, he's missed out on a potential $600,000. Now, Michael, I think that's a pretty important principle to remember, don't you? And I want to remind you, take a look at this example. Michael, it's not about having $10,000. It's not about having more time. It's about interest rate. The fact of the matter is that if you are willing to save for you on a regular basis and get a decent interest rate, say like 6 to 12%, there could be a time when you could become financially independent, financially secure. Now, I wanted to talk to you about some of the strategies that are out there for us in terms of building long-term income. And I'm going to give you a quick definition of each one, and then I'm going to come back with a question so I can figure out which one of these strategies is more suitable for you, so when we meet again, I have the right information and the right strategy for us to review for you. Now, first strategy is a fixed account, and that's exactly it is what it says it is, and that is you get a fixed account over time. Now, typically the interest rate on these things are 1.5%, 2.5%, maybe 3%. But we already know that doesn't have much an effect on inflation. So net effect is maybe you really don't make real money or real return. And I don't know if that's something that you're interested in. Now, the second strategy is stocks and mutual funds. Now, certainly you can get a better interest rate, here, and better return on your money with stocks and mutual funds. However, there's a downside to this. Your money, because it's invested in stocks, is vulnerable to the ups and downs of the stock market. So you're up, you're down, you're up, you're down, you're up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. You're on this crazy roller coaster. And each time you're down, you have to wait for this recovery cycle to get back to where you were. So I don't know if that makes any sense for you. We'll move on here to the next strategy here. And that is the equity index strategy. Now, this is where you put your money into the strategy, and your principal is protected. The money you start with is protected. The interest that you earn is protected as well, and you're guaranteed not to lose money. Now, the equity index strategy, neat little strategy where it's linked to the S&P 500. And I don't know if you know this or not, but over the last 20 years, the S&P 500 has averaged over 10.5% on an annual basis. So, so you put your money in, it's protected, and you move along, recover, increase, and protected again, so on and so forth. So out of these three, which one makes more sense for you? The fixed account, the stocks and mutual funds, or the equity index strategy? The equity index strategy. Now, that's really a good choice, and it's becoming such a popular choice. So I want to take a minute and kind of explain that a little more about what the index strategy, equity index strategy is all about. Now, the equity index strategy is essentially tied to the S&P 500, as I mentioned, which has averaged, again, over 10.5% over the last 20 years or so. Now, imagine if you had invested in the S&P 20 years ago. Where would you be right now? Well, you'd be in a happy place, wouldn't you? Of course you would. Now, the S&P 500 is made up of the top 500 companies traded here in the U.S., and it represents 70% of all the commerce in this country. So a pretty significant stock indexes as well. Now, what I want to do is kind of cover some of the things that we need to cover here. And when I come back, I'll be prepared to really talk about some of the terms, different products that are available out there, the cost, the floor, and a cap on the equity index strategies out there. So I want to talk now about how you earn interest and how it creates a long-term savings or income for you. Now, the equity index strategy kind of works like this. You put your money in, and because it's not tied to stocks, you're not vulnerable to the ups and downs of the stock market. So when the stock market goes up, you earn money because you're only linked to the S&P 500, not actually invested in stocks. So when the market goes down, what happens to your money? Well, let's find out here. Now, here's an example of how this whole thing works here. It's pretty neat. Let's say you got 10,000 that you put into your equity index strategy here. And first year, you get a 10% return, which is very possible. So after the first year, now you have $11.1 $1,000. Push me to 10%. Now, second year, you know, let it ride and you get another 10% return, and now you're at $12.2 thousand dollars, and now you're on your way, right? But let's say the third year, something really happens. The market takes a downturn, and I'm talking about a steep one. I'm talking 20% downturn. Now, what happens to your money? Wrong. Nothing happens to your money. Now, instead of if a 20% downturn, and you